Let's be real. You guys know that your essays, standardized test scores, and your GPA are very important and required for your college application. But do you really know how they assess that information? Is one thing more important than the other? You don't need a perfect GPA or a 1600 out of 1600 on your SAT to get into college. And frankly, those scores wouldn't even matter if the rest of your application was lackluster. So I'm here to tell you the 5 things that colleges care about in an applicant and how you can incorporate my tips into your application. Hey guys, I'm Priya and this is my first real video and I have my introduction linked above. So quick recap, I went to the University of Chicago, graduated last year. I majored in astrophysics and now I currently work as a data scientist and I absolutely love it. So definitely check out my intro if you want to learn more about me, but let's get started. So we're here to talk about the 5 things that are required for your college application and how important they are. So let's just list out all of the things that every college admissions application profile requires. There's your GPA, your standardized test scores, your essays, your activities or extracurriculars, and your recommendation letters. I'm going to rank these in the order of importance based on what I've personally experienced.
Trust me.
I will get into why I think this way. First comes your essays. Second, all of your numbers. So that includes your GPA and your standardized test scores. And third, last but not least, are your activities and recommendation letters. This is the order I do think that they're the most important, and let me go into why. So let's go into the first one, essays. Essays round you out as an individual. They are so important. Yes, your numbers are also important, like your GPA and test scores, but when it comes to your essays, they will never meet a person like you because there is only one of you. You are so unique and you're an individual that they want to know. They want to know what you can bring to this campus. You need to utilize every word, every optional essay, everything. Write as much as you can and don't break out that thesaurus. Write from your heart. Of course, the thesaurus might help. Truly think about what makes you passionate. My essay was about cricket, and I know cricket is
Just a sport.
And it's not even really played in the United States. But
I used cricket as a microcosm of all the inequalities that existed in India when I moved there, and cricket was the one thing that brought everyone together. Be creative with your essays. Write about something you're truly passionate about and something that you love, because your enthusiasm will come through your words. It is so important for them to know you, and they're gonna know all of the amazing qualities that you can bring as a student to their campus. I also want to preface this whole essay section with the fact that there are some colleges that might not require essays or label essays as optional. If the essays are ever optional, I strongly recommend you to write that optional essay. That's what I did, and we had an optional essay for the University of Chicago application just asking us about our favorite books and movies, and I wrote a short paragraph about the second Hunger Games book, Catching Fire, because I just finished reading it and I loved it. The character development of the book was incredible and I felt the emotions that the characters felt, and that's what I wrote about. And then at the end, I just listed my favorite movies, I listed my favorite books, and it was like a 250 word document that took me 20 minutes to write, but it was truly me. So definitely take all of the opportunities you can to let them know how you think, who you are, and how great you are so that you get accepted to that college, regardless of whether the essay is optional or not. Now that I got to tell you guys a bit about why I think essays are so important, let's get into standardized test scores and GPA, things that no one ever wants to think about or talk about. Let's go into your GPA first. Yes, it is so important because it gives everyone looking through your academic transcript a general trend on how your academic performance is. Like, it involves your challenging classes, your easy classes, whether your grades got better throughout high school or worse throughout high school. They will see the story in your numbers, and all of those numbers are in your academic transcript, and all of that equates to one single number. That number is very important, but let me preface it by saying this. Every school calculates your GPA differently, especially when there are international applicants, as well as applicants from all parts of America, some who take more challenging classes than others, some who take APs, and some who are in the IB program like I was. Since GPA is calculated so differently across the world, I would recommend that you talk to your college counselor and find out where you rank in your class. So out of the 100 or 200 people that may be in your year, or even the 1,000 people who are in your year, you will all have a ranking. And if you're in the top 10%, then you definitely don't have to worry about your GPA. I would recommend thinking about GPA in terms of where you rank in your class rather than the number itself, because sometimes a 3.6 out of a 4 could mean something totally different in India versus in America. And colleges do take that into account. These are professionals that know about the differences in curriculum, about specific schools in different countries. So don't worry about the actual number, but worry about how you rank in the midst of your peers. So now let's go into standardized testing. This is also very important, but I will say it will never be as important as your GPA, but they are related, because if you have an extremely high GPA, I'm sure it shows your work ethic, and that work ethic translates to standardized testing, because standardized testing is
not a measure of intelligence.
It is a measure of how hard you can work or how good of a test taker you are. Some people are natural born test takers. I have met many of them, but I am not one of them. So when it comes to a good score for your standardized test, that could mean many different things. What it really comes down to is what the average score is for the schools that you want to get into. So let me explain this by going into a case study. So for Princeton, scores are 1460 to 1570, and that's the range for the middle 50% of people who applied. So 25% of people who applied and got in had more than that, and 25% of people that got in had less than that. But this is the range that I'd recommend aiming for, because the middle 50% gives you a very good average score for this university. And if you have a score in this range, or even a bit below this range, it really shouldn't be a hindrance to your application. If this is your score and your GPA is adequate, then your essays become even more important, because that means you're just as good as all of the people that got in numbers wise. And now it's about if you would thrive on campus and do the best you can at that school. Application officers know when you're a good fit for the school or not, and they do that completely based on your essays. I would recommend doing your research for all the schools that you want to get into and write out their average 50% like scores and try to aim to be in the middle of that. So yes, your standardized test scores are very, very important, similar to your GPA. It is a threshold. The way you're going to aim to be in the top X% of your school, depending on what kind of university you're trying to get into, you should aim for a certain range in your standardized test scores. Now let's go into the fourth one, which is recommendation letters. These are important because it gives an outsider's perspective on who you are. Your entire application is 100% you. It is the grades that you got in college, the scores that you worked for, and the essays that you wrote to try to get them to understand you. So when it comes to recommendation letters, it's about what other people think of you. And in this case, it's about what adults that work with you think of you. These are people, teachers that see you in class every day and have given you grades, have read your work, and it is definitely very important to pick teachers that know who you are. If you're in 9th grade or 10th grade, or you still have time before you have to ask for recommendation letters, please try to get to know your teachers. Go to office hours, go to tutoring, whatever they may offer. Just talk to them after class and let them know what you liked or didn't like about class.
Teachers are people too.
Definitely talk to them, because the more they know about you, the more passionate they will be when they're writing their recommendation letter about you. If you're in the position though where you need a recommendation letter fast and you don't really know who to ask, look through your past grades and pick a class that you got a good grade in, preferably an A or your highest grade on your transcript, transcript and talk to that teacher, send them a quick email or stop by after class and let them know that you're applying to certain schools and that you love the class that you took with that teacher and you'd love if they could write you a recommendation. Remind them what you loved about their class and remind them what grade you got so that it might jog their memory a little bit. If it's a good recommendation letter, it can do nothing but help and boost your application. So definitely remember, talk to your teachers.
They are people too.
Now let's go into the last one, your activities. This rounds out your entire profile. They know what you care about. They know that you rode crew for like 2 years and you loved waking up at 5 a.m. That you care about the elderly if you volunteered at an old age home. That you really care about academics if you were part of the National Honor Society. All of these activities show them what you do with your free time. And it does not have to be academic. It could be an instrument that you loved learning. It could be the fact that you have a YouTube channel. It really depends on how you spin that activity to your advantage. Let's say that one of the activities you want to list as an extracurricular out of school is having a YouTube channel. That requires a tremendous amount of public speaking, video editing, and just being able to have the confidence to do it.
And trust me guys, this is so hard. Like, this is my first real video with content, and it's been very hard.
You can definitely spin any extracurricular that you are extremely passionate about. Not everything has to be academic, but everything you do does have a purpose. So let them know what that purpose is. So we are done. We talked about the 5 things that you need to know about your college application profile. I also have a Google Doc linked down below with all of my notes for this video,
Because obviously I couldn't touch upon everything I wanted to touch upon.
Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I am very, very new to YouTube, but I really want to help you guys. I want to help you get into college. Subscribe down below. Give me a thumbs up.
For that YouTube algorithm.
I will have a video series for every single one of these topics that we discussed today, but if there's something you want sooner than later, I can definitely bump up my schedule. I have all the time in the world, or all the time someone can have with a full-time job. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you guys at the next video.